Welcome to the Doktor O'Kay Show. I'm Doktor O'Kay, and it's a big one with the Royal Rumble from Indianapolis, Indiana, as well as SmackDown, which was just across the street, also in Indy. But let's get right to it with our main headline being just keep yeeting all over Indy. But first, we'll start with the Women's Royal Rumble, where we just keep starting with a Queen's Gambit as Charlotte returns for the first time since December 2023 to make an opening statement and win the Women's Royal Rumble in the first step to WrestleMania. And I'll admit there's no right way to review a Rumble, but we give you the facts here on the Doktor O'Kay Show, so we're doing every single elimination. So after Io Sky and Liv Morgan started the match, we had no eliminations until Lash Legend entered at number 9, and so Chelsea Green surprisingly got the first elimination by taking out B-Fab. After Shayna Baszler entered at number 11, Ivy Nile showed that she wanted to be the Women's IC champion by eliminating Lyra Valkyria, which might have been for the best as we were all worried about a possible wardrobe malfunction by Lyra. Alright, at number 14, Maxine Dupree entered the ring, and she somehow took out her biggest rival in Ivy with a reverse caterpillar and a big boot, but then PFC's Shayna and Zoe tossed out Maxine. After Naomi entered at number 15, we had our first "what were you thinking" moment when Naomi had a head scissor driver on Zelina, but she somehow just let her go and didn't kick her out. Anyways, Naomi did team up with Bianca and they tossed out Zoe, then Bayley eliminated Shayna, and Io took out Sonya, so they knocked out all 3 PFC members nearly at the same time. Jada Parker of NXT entered at number 16, but after Chelsea interrupted a moment between Jada, Lash, Bianca, and Naomi, it was surprisingly Chelsea who eliminated Lash. Piper then entered at number 17 and she tried to protect Chelsea, but a splash against the ropes accidentally knocked Chelsea out. But that can't be good for her in her secret Hervis position. Jordynne Grace made her official WWE debut in her second Rumble at number 19, and she wasted no time to eliminate Jada with a hip attack to make her fly off of the apron. But with the ring filling up with up to 15 women, there were no eliminations until after Raquel entered at number 26, and with her help, Liv quickly hit code breakers from the apron to eliminate both Natalya and the finally returning Alexa Bliss, who we are very happy to see for the first time in 2 years since showing up and losing to Bianca at the Royal Rumble 2 years ago. But it was the Queen who returned at number 27, and she made quick work of Michin by booting her out, and then she also dumped out Piper. Julia, your NXT Women's Champion, made her Rumble debut at number 28, and she landed a big knee to knock out Jordan, which could potentially be a future NXT Women's Championship match. Nia Jax entered at number 29, and poor Zelina as Nia came up from behind and yanked Zelina's legs off of the apron before Nia had even entered the match. But once she was in the ring, Nia stared down Trish Stratus, who also made her return for the first time since losing to the still MIA Becky Lynch in September of 2023. Nia gets our next "what were you thinking" moment when she forgot to help her loyal subject Candice LeRae, as Trish quickly sent her over the top rope, but Candice remained loyal, or she was at least mad at Trish, so Candice grabbed Trish's feet and Nia forearmed her out of the ring. Nikki Bella made her first in-ring appearance since the Royal Rumble 3 years ago as the number 30 entrant, and she stared down Nia, and then nearly everyone else joined Nikki to try to eliminate Nia, but Nia somehow was able to push them all out of the way. And then with Io and Stephanie Vaquer of NXT holding on for dear life, Roxanne Perez, and then Liv and Raquel, and then Bianca and Naomi all tried to knock each other out, but it was Nia who came up from behind, upending Bianca and Naomi, causing everyone but Roxanne to be eliminated. Nia got credit for 6 eliminations at this time, and that left us with a final 6 of Nia, Roxanne, Charlotte, Bayley, Nikki, and Julia. Roxanne and Julia then briefly teamed up to try to eliminate Charlotte, but Roxanne instead pushed Julia into the ring post to get her only elimination. Bayley then fended off Nia on the apron and grabbed her, but Nikki ran at Nia. However, Nia escaped Bayley's grasp, so Nikki's running forearm knocked Bayley out. Only then for Nia to come up from behind to take out Nikki. With Charlotte and Roxanne in the opposite corner, Nia then ran at them, but with Nia trying to eliminate Roxanne, Charlotte was able to dump out Nia. And then she made quick work to boot out Roxanne to win the Royal Rumble. So that means Charlotte is the ones, and with 4 eliminations, she wins her first match since War Games in November of 2023, and she becomes the first woman to win 2 Royal Rumbles after also winning in 2020. And of course, she will get to pick who she wants to fight at WrestleMania. Of course, she already challenged Rhea for the NXT Women's title after her 2020 win, so will she instead try to put an end to Tiffy time? Now, Roxanne only had 1 elimination, but she is the Iron Woman from the number 3 spot with a new record of 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 47 seconds, beating Liv by exactly those 47 seconds. And with Nia getting credit for 6 eliminations at once, she then breaks her own record that was tied with 2 others to have 9 eliminations in this match. Well, other than being shocked that the man did not come around, which certainly makes me laugh for SportsZu's horrible prediction, well, this was a very solid Rumble with several good surprises, so it gets an okay. In our second match, we just keep doing it with your rivals as DIY outlast the Motor City Machine Guns after the Street Profits interfered to attack Alex Shelley before a Skull and Bones. So DIY then was able to meet in the middle to take 2 out of 3 falls to retain the WWE Tag Team Championship. So DIY is the ones, and they took the first fall by smartly faking a tag that fooled Shelley, so Ciampa landed a running knee. So this is DIY's second defense after a no contest against the Machine Guns to start the year, so they are 1-0-1 in 2025. So that means the Machine Guns are the 2s, and they overwhelmed DIY with their teamwork, landing a Tornado DDT, a double super kick, and the Skull and Bones to take the second fall. But after Gargano accidentally super kicked Ciampa, it was the Machine Guns who had another nice team move to set up another Skull and Bones before those Street Profits stepped in to take it away from them. So the Machine Guns dropped to 3-1-1 in 2025. Now, of course, the Profits then also turned on DIY and relentlessly beat them with Dawkins' crutch. So with their eyes on the prize to get both revenge for DIY's backstage beating and get their own shot at them for the title, that will cost them a 1-week suspension for interfering in the title match and also a fine for the post-match beating. However, we will say that this was very smart of them because now they get to kill 2 birds with 1 stone instead of having to fight both teams instead. So with some really impressive teamwork by both teams in this one, it would probably have gotten a double okay, but since it ended with that interference, it gets dropped to a still impressive okay. In our third match, we just keep saying it's better to win than to be right, as we had an absolutely brutal ladder match between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens, where Rhodes outlasts Owens by reversing a package pile driver from atop the announce table and then landed an Alabama slam through a ladder that was set up between the announce table and the apron, so Rhodes had a very easy climb to grab both the WWE Championship and the Winged Eagle Championship. So Cody Rhodes is the ones, And there's only so much one can say about a ladder match because it's pretty much dudes hitting each other with ladders. But we'll start with Rhodes getting a "what were you thinking" moment because he was hanging from the carabiner, but he didn't even try to unlock that clip. And I think him falling from that height with the titles probably would have been less painful than what both men went through for the rest of the match. Because after that, Rhodes kicked off the bottom rung of the ladder and used it as a bat on Owens, and then he also suplexed Owens on top of the side of the ladder. That looked awfully painful. But then Rhodes himself somehow recovered from an injury to stop a stunner and turn it into a crossroads before he finally finished it off with that Alabama slam. So this is Rhodes' 8th successful title defense, and he goes to 1-0 in 2025. And that means Kevin Owens is the 2s, and he smartly introduced a little ladder so he could easily use it to inflict some major damage on Rhodes. And he also had the move of the night with a Fisherman Buster through a ladder that caused Sami Zayn, Nick Aldis, and WWE officials to have to go out and check on both men. But unfortunately for KO, Zayn did not help out his best friend, but he also didn't help Rhodes, so I guess he kept it as a fair match. But KO ends up leaving with a crimson mask and another painful loss, so he drops to 2-1 in one-on-one matches. But while he has no titles, he can at least take comfort in knowing that he is still right. And this was an absolutely incredible demolition derby of a ladder match. It has to get a double okay. And in our main headline and main event, we just keep yeeting all over Indy as Jey Uso outlasts a stacked Royal Rumble crowd to truly become main event Jey Uso by outdueling the GOAT John Cena on the apron with a super kick and squirming out of an AA to kick Cena right off of that apron. But we start the match with a luchador showdown between Rey Mysterio entering at number 1 and the newcomer Penta at number 2. However, we had no eliminations until after Braun Breaker entered at number 7, where he speared Carmelo Hayes and threw him out, and then speared Santos Escobar and threw him out as well. Akira Tozawa then came out as number 8, but Hayes attacked him from behind as he was leaving, and then he was declared medically unable to compete, so Triple H needed to find a replacement, and the only person there was I Show Speed. So sure, why not? Let's see if he can make an impact. And he did indeed make that impact as he helped Braun Breaker to lift up Otis to eliminate him. However, Speed celebrated way too prematurely as Breaker ran those ropes and broke him in half with a super spear, and then gorilla pressed him onto Otis, so Otis then overhead suplexed him onto and over the announce table. Unsurprisingly, Jacob Fatu immediately made his presence felt when he entered at number 12. He had 3 quick eliminations, throwing out Chad Gable, then Rey Mysterio, and then Andrade. Ludwig Kaiser smartly didn't immediately enter the ring after he was called as number 13. He thought he saw an opening to take out Penta, but he was wrong as Penta immediately turned it around and threw out Kaiser after a mere 6 seconds. Roman Reigns surprisingly entered at number 16 because I would have thought that Paul Heyman would have rigged this thing to give him a much closer number to 30 than he got. But great, it's glad to see that Reigns actually had to work for a change. And he did indeed come out firing on all cylinders as he speared The Miz and threw him out, then speared Sheamus and threw him out, and then speared Joe Hendry of TNA, who was of course a surprise entrant in the same way that Jordan Grace was last year. And although he didn't last very long, at least Sheamus seemed to enjoy his appearance. But nonetheless, Reigns threw him out as well. But Reigns immediately got a taste of his own medicine when Breaker speared Reigns. However, when Breaker went to throw him out, Reigns somehow was able to reverse Breaker and tossed him out instead. And then Jimmy Uso congratulated Reigns for all of those eliminations, but Jacob Fatu came up from behind Jimmy and landed a super kick and then threw Big Jim right on out of the ring. Then after Shinsuke Nakamura entered at number 19, Penta incredibly hit a Mexican destroyer on Fatu, but Penta was then caught by Finn Balor, who tossed him out. Jey Uso entered at number 20 and he immediately flipped Nakamura out of the ring. Then after Braun Strowman entered at number 22, he got some revenge on Fatu from last weekend when he surprisingly very easily threw Fatu out. John Cena then made his final Royal Rumble entry at number 23 and he outsmarted Strowman because when Strowman charged at him, Cena simply lowered the top rope and Strowman went flying right on out of the ring. Cena then AA'd Balor right out of the ring as well. CM Punk then entered at number 23 and it was a very long stare down between Punk, Cena, and Reigns. So long, in fact, that everybody got a nice rest for the entire period because there was literally no fighting whatsoever. Seth Rollins then entered at number 25 and he broke up the party by going right after Punk. But there were no eliminations until Damian Priest entered at number 28 and he got another laugh against Dirty Dom by landing a regular chokeslam and then throwing Dom out of the ring. After LA Knight entered at number 29, Jey went for a super kick on McIntyre, but Drew ducked it and hit Sami Zayn right in the face with that super kick instead to eliminate him, but at least Jey apologized for that. Logan Paul got the coveted number 30 spot, and after he entered, Priest unceremoniously eliminated McIntyre, which happened so quickly that the cameras didn't even get a good shot of it. However, LA Knight was about to kick out Paul, but he smartly leapt out onto the announce table to save himself because no feet hit the ground. Knight then turned around to quickly clothesline Priest out of the ring, and AJ Styles came from behind and dumped out Knight. But then back on the other side of the ring, Styles was about to try a phenomenal forearm in his big return, but Logan Paul jumped onto the steel steps and knocked Styles off of the ropes to eliminate him. After a flurry of signature moves and finishers that are too numerous to count, we had Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins' eyes meet each other in the ring, and those two battled with Reigns almost getting Rollins over the top rope, but Rollins caught himself, leading to a stalemate between the two when CM Punk came up from behind and dumped both men out at once. But Paul immediately got snuck up from behind by Logan Paul, who threw him out while Punk was still admiring his handiwork. And this led to all three of them fighting at ringside until Rollins got the final blow with a stomp of Reigns' head onto the steel steps. So this gave us a final three of Jey Uso, John Cena, and Logan Paul, and it was Cena who tried for a double AA, but Jey was able to slide out of Cena's grasp and he super kicked Paul in the head, which allowed Cena to easily clothesline him over the top rope to get us to the final two, where of course Jey shocked the entire WWE universe by booting out the GOAT. So that means Jey is the ones winning his first Royal Rumble with 3 eliminations, and he will get to choose between Rhodes and the man that he just lost to a week ago in Gunther. But for now, he is 2-1 in singles matches. And Penta was the Iron Man with 42 minutes and 5 seconds out of the number 2 spot, and we had a 3-way tie for the most eliminations between Braun Breaker, Jacob Fatu, and Roman Reigns with a mere 4 apiece. And I don't think too many people had Jey being the one to get to point at that WrestleMania sign, including the SportsZu. But with so much star power in the ring, it is truly amazing to see Jey overcome the odds, so we have to give this a double okay. But somehow we still have to talk about SmackDown, so we'll have our briefest recap ever, going from the top where Joe Tessitore gave KO his own interview, but CM Punk interrupted him and apologized for counting KO out on Raw, so Punk challenged KO to a fight, but that did not happen. We'll give that and OK. In the first match, Jimmy Uso defeated Carmelo Hayes by countering a roll-up with one of his own, but he had to grab the tights to do it. Nonetheless, he desperately needed that win, going to 1-1-1, while Hayes dropped to 0-2-1. But Big Jim will also get a fine for trying, but failing, to attack Hayes during his ring intro, and the ref also gets another "What were you thinking?" for just ringing the bell, so this has to get a double not okay. In our second match, Michin wins her Women's United States title rematch versus Chelsea, but it was by DQ when Chelsea grabbed Michin's kendo stick and attacked her with it, so the title stays with Chelsea, who will get a 1-week suspension for causing that DQ. But Michin at least grabbed the kendo stick back and got a couple shots in before Chelsea gets away. Michin does improve to 2-1 in one-on-one matches, and Chelsea drops to 1-1, but because of this DQ, it of course gets a double not okay. We had another Charlotte vignette where she said all the stories about her are true, and then they were again true at the Royal Rumble. Of course, we give the Queen an okay. In our third match, we had an 8-man tag match between some unlikely pairings, and then even though Los Garza abandoned the machine guns after Sabin tagged himself in, Sabin then stole the win when he rolled up Ciampa from behind after Wilson refused to tag in when Ciampa accidentally superkicked Prince in the face, but still pretty crazy. It gets a double not okay. We obviously do not care about Tyrese Halliburton being interviewed by Michael Cole and Pat McAfee. That gets an automatic double not okay. In the fourth match, Raquel distracted Naomi from performing a split-legged moonsault, but Bianca took Raquel's legs out, and Liv tried to roll up Naomi, but Naomi reversed it into her own pin, so she gets the win. Raquel then double clotheslined both Bianca and Naomi, and Raquel threw Liv down on an assisted powerbomb, so those two stood tall. But that, of course, will cost Liv and Raquel both fines, and Naomi gets the win, going to 1-1 in one-on-one matchups, while Liv goes to 0-2, but we'll still give this an okay. In our fifth match, we had The Miz complain about Andrade to Aldis, and of course, Andrade was standing behind him, so that set up a match, and Andrade landed a Spanish fly off of the top rope, and then a wicked back elbow to knock out The Miz for the win, so Andrade improves to 1-1 while The Miz drops to 0-2, and he lost both of those on non-standard finishers, and that is at least interesting. It gets an okay. Zelina caught up with Tiffy saying that she has eyes on the title, and since she never wins a match, she should probably start with that, and then maybe starting with the women's US title instead, so that gets a double not okay. Tiffy then went to the ring for an interview, but Candice interrupted her, but it was only a plot to have Nia attack Tiffy from behind. Unfortunately for Candice, Nia splashed Candice instead, and then Nia still got the better of Tiffy with a headbutt and an annihilator, but both Candice and Nia get fines. It still gets an okay. And in our main event, after Tonga and Jacob Fatu interrupted Damian Priest, saying that they run SmackDown now, it was Priest who told Fatu to take his best shot. However, Priest was the one who super kicked Tonga instead to start a fight in the ring. But after Tonga grabbed a chair, LA Knight made the save, but Priest is the one who gets a fine for instigating. This pre-match segment, of course, gets an okay, which led to our main event being a tag match between Knight and Priest against Fatu and Tonga. And it was Knight and Priest who ran into the ring and started swinging before the bell, so both of them get fines, and the ref called for the bell, so he gets another "What were you thinking?" Priest incredibly grabbed Tonga while he was sitting on the mat and then landed a South of Heaven chokeslam to win the match, but Fatu super kicked, then Samoan dropped, and then mighty moonsaulted Priest to immediately get some revenge. But of course, Fatu has to get a fine for the post-match attack. Nonetheless, Knight and Priest in this unlikely pairing goes to 1-0, while Fatu and Tonga go to 1-1 in traditional tags. Pretty interesting ending in this SmackDown right before the Rumble, so it gets and okay. So what a weekend it was, because it is hard not to love the Royal Rumble matches. But if you want to see how the SportsZu did in predicting the Royal Rumble, be sure to go right on over here to check that out. And just like Jey yeeting to the main event of WrestleMania, this has to get an okay.